Hello OpenMaze experimenters, my name is Kyle Alsbury Neely, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to build your experiments for Mac and Windows computers. Once your experiment has been built, it can be run on the target platform without needing Unity installed on the computer. So we're first going to open up the Unity Hub. But instead of opening our OpenMaze project, we're going to go to the Install section. And what you'll see at the bottom of your installs are the build support platforms. So as you can see, I already have the Mac build support and the Windows build support installed. But if you don't see these icons, you can just go up to this little three dots here and add modules. And then you can choose any of the build platforms that you'd like to export your experiment for. Now, I should note that at the time of recording this tutorial, we've only tested OpenMaze on Mac and Windows computers. However, other platforms should work. It may just require some troubleshooting on your end. So if you don't have the Mac support installed or the Windows support installed and you'd like them to be, just make sure that you click these boxes and then hit next. Okay, so once you've done that and you see your little icons here, you can navigate back to the projects window and we'll open up our OpenMaze project. Okay, and now I'm going to show you how to build an experiment application. Now, before we do that, we're just going to go, as per usual, to our build settings, and we're going to add one of our tutorial scenes. So I'm going to go to tutorial 1, and I'll add that scene. And once we've done that, we'll just test to make sure that our experiment configuration file is working within the Unity editor before we build it. So we're just going to go back to Scenes, Launch Experiment, and we'll press the play button. And when prompted, we'll go to Tutorials, Step 5, building an experiment, and Tutorial 10, building an experiment. And we'll just open that in the Unity editor. We can hit our Start the Experiment button, press spacebar to continue through these instructions. This is just a simple object collection task where we're just going to first collect an apple, then our water, and finally the money. Okay, perfect. And you'll see that we have an End the Experiment button on here that has been added. Now, if you're in the Unity editor, this button isn't going to do anything when it's clicked, but take note, this will end the application after we've built it. So I'm just going to go back up and press the play button. Okay, and now we are ready to build our experiment application. So we're just going to go up to File, to Build Settings. We're first going to build it for Windows devices since that's what I'm on. So you're going to go to the target platform, select Windows, and we're going to hit Build. And then when prompted, I'm just going to make a new folder on my desktop, and I'm just going to call that folder Experiment Applications. Within that folder, I'll make a new one. We'll call this one Windows Application. We can select that folder, and when prompted with this missing project ID, we're just going to hit Yes to continue. And now our experiment will build into a Windows application. So we'll just wait for that. Okay, perfect. And once that's built, we can just minimize Unity and go to our experiment application folder on our desktop, to the Windows application. And what you'll see now is you'll have a bunch of folders in this application, but the important one here is the OpenMaze application. And when we click that, it's going to run our experiment. But before we do that, one last step that we want to do, which is add our configuration files folder to the Windows application folder. So we're just going to go to our OpenMaze project folder, right click on configuration files, copy that, and then we'll paste that into our Windows application folder. Now, if you don't paste the configuration file folder into your application folder, OpenMaze won't prompt you with the configuration files folder automatically. So you'll have to search for your configuration file upon launching the application. But since we've added that, what you'll see is when we open our application, we are indeed prompted with our configuration file folder. And you'll notice that this is the configuration files folder that's in our Windows application folder. And we can just go to Tutorials, Building an Experiment, and click our Tutorial 10 configuration file. We'll open that up, then we'll go back down to the bottom of the screen where our application is open, and we can hit Start the Experiment. And as you can see, this is just the experiment that we just ran in the Unity editor. It appears exactly the same as it does in the game view window. Note that this is now Unity independent. This is not running through the Unity editor. So you can take this application and put it onto any Windows device just by copying that Windows application folder over. As you can see, the experiment runs exactly as we would expect, exactly how it did in the game view window. Only it's full screen and it's Unity independent. Okay. And as you'll see, we have our end the experiment screen. And if we hit the end the experiment button now, the application does indeed close. What you'll also notice that after running the application, your Windows application folder will now have an assets folder. And if we click the assets folder, we'll see that it has an output files folder. And that's where our output file is saved. Anytime you run the application, a new output file will be saved in the assets, then output files folder. Okay? And just stores everything automatically for you. And that's it. One of the other great things about making experiments in OpenMaze and in Unity is that we can actually build an application for a different platform. So if we go back to Unity, and instead of choosing our Windows target platform, we choose macOS, and we wait for our scripts to recompile for Mac, we can then build our experiment as a Mac application. And you can do that just by hitting Build, and we'll make a new folder. We'll call this Mac application. And we can click that, select it. And again, when prompted with this missing project ID, you can just hit yes to continue. And now our application will build for Mac. Okay, and what you'll see is that the Mac application does not build directly within the Mac application folder that we built. Instead, it builds this Mac application.app. And what we're going to do is we're just going to click that and drag it into our Mac application folder. And just like with our Windows build, we're going to want to make sure that we have our configuration files folder in the same folder as our application. So we're just going to go back to our desktop, to the OpenMaze folder, and we'll just copy our configuration file folder again and place that into our Mac application folder. Okay, perfect. So now what we can do is we can just take this Mac application folder that has both our app and our configuration files folder, and we can just throw that on a USB drive and transfer that over to a Mac device, which I'm going to do right now. And I've just taken that USB drive over to my Mac machine. So on this USB drive, I have my Mac application, which I'm just going to drag off my USB here and put it on my desktop. And then I'm just going to open that up. And you'll see now that instead of the Mac application being a folder like it was on our Windows device, it's now just in an application form, which can be run on any Mac device. So we're just going to double click that to open it up. Now, you might get a pop-up that says that the Mac application needs access to documents in whatever folder the application is in. If you do see that, just hit OK. Otherwise, you should be prompted by the configuration file folder. So we'll just click on our tutorials, building an experiment, and we'll click tutorial 10. And now we can start our experiment. Okay, and we'll just run through this really quickly to make sure that everything is working. All right, perfect. And we get our end the experiment screen. We'll just hit end the experiment, and the application closes. And what you're going to find now that in your Mac application folder that we just moved to the desktop, you'll see a new folder that says Assets. And within the Assets folder, you'll see output files. And here's the output file from the experiment that we just ran. And that's all you have to do to build applications for Mac or for Windows. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial video, and I'll see you in the next one.